Okay, welcome to the second episode of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap. Season starts this week. Evan, how we doing?
We're doing well. I'm excited. I think Thursday's going to be a big day for us. We got some guys down, but I think we're ready for the season. I'm excited.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I'm so excited for this season. A lot of marquee games coming up. Evan, I didn't want to start it on this note. Ben Simmons,
Yep.
Brooklyn Nets forward, seemingly for some reason took a shot at Giannis, which again I don't know why. He didn't play for a whole season, so I'm gonna go ahead and read you the quote, and I'm just gonna have you react.
Sure.
So here's what was posted yesterday. So it says Ben Simmons on people saying Ben can't shoot. They're gonna say that regardless. Even if I hit a shot, what are they gonna say? I still can't bleep. I can't make everyone happy, you know. That's like saying, can Giannis shoot? Can he?
Huh. Interesting.
Interesting. Evan, what's your reaction to that?
Now, if you're unfamiliar with what he's, I think, going for, there's a clip that went viral of them all. The Nets were at a park in Brooklyn, and someone was recording Kevin Durant and Kyrie walking out, and Ben Simmons is in the background, and he shoots and completely airballs it. And that was like the highlight of the video. It's what everyone noticed. Not Katie and Kyrie walking in. It's lefty shot, completely missed everything on the side. So obviously NBA players airball, they're not perfect, but it was Ben Simmons, so it made it funnier. But I think overall, him saying that it's kind of random because you're talking to a two-time MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, obviously not shooting wise, Finals MVP, and an NBA champion. This is not some scrub player Giannis that he's talking about. They're not like friends that are bantering. It's like Ben Simmons has always been afraid to shoot, and I think that's why he like comes at other players. I don't know. If you're looking at the bar stool, that's where I was looking at. Giannis's career attempted 1,550 three-pointer attempts. Ben Simmons, 34. Ironically, Giannis's number. So Giannis is not some goated three-point shooter, but he still shoots them with confidence. He'll airball it, and then he'll come right back, and he'll do something else. He's not the I'm shooting, I'm kind of scared kind of thing. So I don't know. Overall, it's just kind of random. Like, what does he have to do with it? Like, what is Ben Simmons talking about? He didn't play last year. He's too scared to shoot. He's passing the ball when he should be like shooting it. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't like it. Not like it's gonna like affect me negatively, but just kind of random coming from him who didn't play a game last year and who is too scared to shoot. I don't know how you feel, but that's how I kind of saw it.
No, and that was the whole thing. I was like, okay, so first of all, you didn't play last year, okay? Now, here's what I'm going to say, okay? Look, mental health is obviously very serious in this country, okay? It is, okay? But then it's a back injury, so I didn't really know what the whole reason was. He didn't play last year. But then, like, he doesn't have a leg to stand on to just criticize other players for saying, oh, well, can he shoot? Okay, Bucks fans have never said Giannis can shoot. That's not what we're saying, okay? But we're also not saying that, like, here's the other thing, too. You know, when Giannis, that's just something Bucks fans kind of have to deal with. Like, Giannis just chucks up a three, random part of the game. It's like, whatever. He can't barrel into two guys every time, okay? He can't just dunk on people every time. He's got to add another element to the game. And that's what Ben Simmons hasn't done. He hasn't added another element to the game. He hasn't improved his game since his rookie year. I don't even think he's improved his game since college. Yeah, he hasn't added a jump shot. He hasn't added a 15-footer. He's been always a great passer, and he's been a great defender. But that's all he is. That's all he adds to a team. Like Giannis, each and every year, I remember when Giannis was like afraid to take shots unless he was wide open. I remember when Giannis would be behind the 3-point line and he would not shoot.
He would do the one dribble, hesitate, and then he passes
and then just toss it off. Okay,
with no one near him.
No one was near him, and that's the thing with Ben Simmons. Nobody's near him. Nobody, like, they'll let Ben Simmons take those shots because he won't. Because he won't add that to the game. And there's a lot of question on like, what hand is Ben Simmons? Is he a lefty or righty? Like, that's been a huge question. Like, I don't even know what a Ben Simmons shooting form would look like. Like, is he a lefty? Is he a righty? I honestly have no idea.
I think he veers lefty, but it's still like just like over his head kind of shot, not like a clear side.
But look, Giannis is a career 29% 3-point shooter. Again, he's not a great shooter. He didn't come into the league as a great shooter.
They're not like, this is our 3-point guy.
But at least he's trying.
Yes.
Okay? And like, that's the only thing we can give him. And it's not like Giannis takes him like with like 2 seconds left in like the fourth quarter.
Just chucking him up.
It's just, I think it's really within the flow of the offense. It's a transition, and they have Giannis like throw up a 3. Depends what the situation is, because I don't really want it if we're losing, but whatever. But even if he's not a great 3-point shooter, which we never expected him to be, he's added other elements. He's added a great mid-range game.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like, he's added a great turnaround shot. Obviously, he's lethal when he gets 2 feet in the paint. But like, just shoot. Like, we're not expecting Ben Simmons to be this marksman from the 3-point line.
No,
but add a 15-footer.
Exactly. It's like, it's one of those things where he's been so mocked and like made fun of when he shoots, and then he won't do it again. But like, that's what Giannis did. He will shoot and he'll airball free throws. He'll airball 3-pointers. And then guess what? He just keeps doing it, and he takes the criticism. Ben Simmons doesn't take the criticism well, which is unfortunate, because he's not a bad player. He just doesn't do what he's supposed to do to get better. I don't know. He's the definition to me of the James Harden on Giannis running to the hoop and dunking, because Giannis can still shoot from the mid-range. He has a good like turnaround. He has a good step back, but he's just running to the hoop and dunk it at 7 foot. So I kind of think of Ben Simmons to be that run to the hoop and dunk guy, or pass it out.
And then it doesn't make it better when Steve Nash is like, well, we don't need Ben Simmons to shoot. You'll say that now in the regular season when, let's be honest, a majority of the season doesn't matter, when you can just boat race to like 50 to 55 wins. What about in the playoffs? You're gonna need you might need Ben Simmons to shoot a little bit then.
His coaching line is on the line right now. If they don't do well in the playoffs, I don't see him coming back. But yeah, I kind of saw the quote as okay, we got a little banter going on. They play him early, so we'll see how it goes. I think it'll solidify who takes the quote, I guess, who takes the side after that game. I think game 3 or 4 of the season. So I'll be excited though for that one.
Yeah, and by the way, I've seen Giannis. Now there are a couple clips out there. Ben Simmons has guarded Giannis relatively well.
Yeah,
there are a couple clips on there. There are a couple clips on there where Giannis is dunking on him. So again, there's been a couple moments where Giannis has just completely just dominated him. So I don't know why Ben Simmons made that criticism, but that's just, I guess that's just how that team operates.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll see, Ben.
All right, moving on to the next topic. Again, I personally don't think it matters, but because ESPN talked about it. I kind of laughed when I saw like they said the Bucks went 0-5, so we'll just kind of get into it. So how concerned are you with the Bucks 0-5 preseason record?
Well, do you know what happened the last time the Bucks went 0-5 in the preseason?
Won the title.
I don't want to second guess myself.
Well, look,
no, I don't. Yeah. I don't see it as like a big concern. It would be different if they were getting blown up by 30 or 25 to 30 points a game. It's like one of those things where it's like you got to get the guys loose out there and familiar with everyone. You have some guys who won't really even see a minute this year, like some of the two-way guys or people who are averaging 15 minutes a game are going to be averaging 2 minutes a game in this week. So I just kind of see it as everyone's getting familiar with everyone. They're just getting back on the court. They're putting up shots. They're making shots. They're not winning, obviously, but I don't know. I don't see that big of an issue. I would be more worried if guys who are supposed to be doing well were completely sucking the entire preseason, and it was like, oh, okay, it's kind of like a little nerve-wracking, but I'm not too worried.
Yeah, I'm not either, only because of the fact that I watched like 3 of the games on YouTube, which I know is not a great barometer, but again, it's 9 minutes. It kind of gives you what you need to know about like, what you saw. So, and kind of seeing those games, it was really only the Nets game where they played the regular starters.
Yes.
Like, the game against the Bulls, you had like Marquise Bolden, and you had AJ Green, and you had Javon Carter, and like
a very small lineup and young lineup.
Lindell Wigington. Like it was just guys that, a few of those guys are probably not going to be on the opening night roster. So I'm not particularly concerned about it because I don't really think preseason matters because like 5 games is like such a small sample size.
Yeah.
And without the regular starters in there, it's like, okay, so some of these teams felt like great about themselves, but it's not how the Bucks are going to look in the regular season. So from that standpoint, preseason doesn't matter.
And Budenholzer isn't the coach for a lot of them. A lot of these are like their backup coaches who are getting experience being that head coach role too. So it's not just the players not making more baskets. I guess there's a lot of other management things too that kind of go into factor too. So I'm not worried.
Yeah, I'm not either. Although one of the games I watched in Abu Dhabi, Trae Young, Jesus, he's torched us.
He's getting better. I think
he's getting better, but I don't think that would happen like if the Bucks had their regular lineup on there. But my lord, Trae Young cannot miss in that one of the games in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, he's nice, and I'm never hated him. Obviously, I hated him when they played him in the playoffs, but he's one of those respectable guys, I think, overall.
Yep. Sticking with the preseason, again, I don't know how many games you watched. What players stood out to you?
So I was kind of looking at overall stats. I'm looking at guys who played 3 to 4, if not all 5 games. But I think the biggest one that people should look at is Jordan Nwora, who played all 5 games. Very few who played all 5. 23 minutes, so a very solid game. 13 points, 45 from field goal or just field goal percentage, and then 33 from 3. So again, seeing that 13 points, I think is big because I hope that's what he can do off the bench. Now I would expect him to get maybe 10 or 11, but I think he was a big standout guy. He's the first one that really showed me that he's ready for the season to start.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go Javon Carter. Javon Carter did a great job of like knocking down open threes, running the offense. He actually ran the offense better than I thought he would. I just thought he was like kind of like a standalone. I just thought he was like a standalone like 3-point guy, but I think he did a great job of getting everyone involved. So for me, I'm going to go Javon Carter. I think he had a great preseason, and hopefully he can get some minutes. Underrated though, I think George Hill. I think he had a couple good games too.
I will give it to him again. Most Bucks fans are not huge George Hill. A lot of people just say it because of the Javon Carter, like he's doing solid. But yeah, I was watching the game. I think it was the Nets one. It was the Nets or the Bulls one, where he had some pretty good defensive plays. But where is he? He played 4 games. So yeah, 17 minutes, 5 points. Again, he's one of those guys where you hope can still score. But if he's not scoring, then you got to see him on the defensive end, I think.
And again, I think there was a lot of people who probably wanted to get rid of George Hill because of how he played last year in the playoffs. But I think we got to cut him a little bit of slack on that because he was playing hurt. Should he have been out there? I think it was like the main question. I'm sure he was cleared, but he dealt with a neck injury last year. He dealt with an abdominal strain. So from that standpoint, like I don't think he should have been out there personally, but because I don't think he was playing his best basketball, and we see how good George Hill can be off the bench. But
yeah, not a bad player at all.
No, he was hurt last year. So I think this year he'll hopefully have a better year. But I would like to also see Javon Carter get some more minutes.
Yep, agreed. Another guy, I think really on the low is Marquise Bolden. Weirdly enough, I thought he, again, a two-way guy, not going to play a lot, but he averaged 6, shot 71 from the field. So again, if he's shooting like 5 shots a game, he's hitting 3 or 4 of them. So I thought he looked kind of good for one of their two-way guys. But also, where do you go? Javon Carter I had as well. And then just kind of some of their more role player type guys I think did solid too. I'm hoping Grayson Allen can kind of continue, averaged about 12 and then shot 41 from 3. So again, pretty solid game. So overall, I think they're ready. They just got to play all together consistently again, like they do all season.
Yeah, and it sucks that Chris Middleton is going to obviously miss the start of the season because that throws our lineup into a bit of flux. So we'll see how they figure that out. All right. Okay. Bucks versus 76ers.
Yes. First game of the year.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a solid game.
I do too, and I really hope they can win. But I kind of know that like if the Bucks do lose, that a lot of people will still be, oh well, they were out Chris and some of these guys. Like you kind of know that like it was a loss, but I think a lot of people understand like they aren't fully there, but there's still a chance. I was kind of looking at the Sixers. They have no injuries right now, from what I've read. Bucks are key missers are Chris and now Pat. So overall, I think they're just gonna have to somehow outplay Harden and Embiid, and then you got Tyrese Maxey in the mix, and now they have Montrezl Harrell, dominant center, so and PJ Tucker.
Oh boy.
So it's going to be a very, I want to say, fast-paced game. I think they're both fast-paced teams, so I think it'll kind of like blend together. But I don't know. What do you think? I think there's a chance, but I want to give a little more lenience to the Sixers, I think.
I agree with you there. I think it's a little concerning the fact that James Harden's dropped 30 pounds this offseason. I think, which means he's probably at his peak basketball shape.
Yep.
He's dealt with hamstring injuries the past 2 seasons. So, yeah, from that standpoint, I'm going to give a slight edge to the 76ers. And it's in Philly, right?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, that's a TNT game. That's tough. That's a tough game, especially with PJ Tucker.
Yep, adding him this year.
Yeah, but by the way, I think PJ Tucker. I feel like, I think Bucks fans give him credit for helping the Bucks win a title. He's also catching some strays from Bucks fans.
He is,
because a lot of people on the Bucks tour are like, "Well, he wasn't really a lockdown defender." He was like, but Kevin Durant scored 45 points. Okay, but I was like Kevin Durant.
Yeah, it's not. It's not some Pat Connaughton scoring 45.
I think I'm mad at the fact they didn't re-sign PJ. I think
no, I'm not mad at all either.
I'm not mad at all.
He got too expensive for his age.
Yeah,
he kind of got I just won the championship after being traded. Now I want to go celebrate in Miami or like the beach type setting. So I was like, okay, kind of get a little ahead of yourself after being on the Rockets for the longest time, but gotta respect it.
Outside of those guys, like I don't know if there's anybody that really concerns me. Kind of peeking at the roster right here. I mean, they still have Tobias Harris. Shake Milton. Shake Milton can. He's been inconsistent, but he can put together a good game.
Yep. There's one guy. I think it's Furkan Korkmaz.
Oh,
I think that's who I'm thinking of. But there's one guy who hits 3 after 3 after 3.
Nope.
And I think it's that guy.
That was the.
No, it's Niang. Gorgeous Niang. I think that's how you say his name.
I think it was Korkmaz when they played the 76ers on Christmas Day a couple of years ago. That might have been Korkmaz who like just hit 3 after 3.
Yep. It's one of those guys who will destroy the Bucks every time. There's a guy in the Sixers named Charlie Brown. Sorry,
I'm looking at the but outside of that, there's really nobody on there that really scares me. You mentioned Maxey.
Yeah, Tyrese
I
Maxey, I think people need to take a little more seriously
Yes,
now.
I like Tyrese Maxey. I think he's really underrated.
He was their leading scorer, 17. He did play 4 of the 5 games. But I think something to look out was Embiid. So he played 20 minutes in 2 games. Giannis played 26. Giannis averaged 3.5 more points. So again, minute wise, again, pretty consistent with each other like they did last year. I think the biggest thing though for them going into the season that game is not letting Harden go off. I think if you can hold Harden to taking a lot of shots but missing more, I think that'll be a big takeaway from them.
I'm going to be honest. While I am concerned about Harden, I'm more concerned with Embiid because, like, Brook Lopez, once he goes out, like, who's guarding Joel Embiid? Like that.
I always think they should put Giannis on him. Like, I really think that, like, because you can't put Bobby on him.
No,
Bobby's going to get bodied. Joel is too big, and I think their biggest guy would be Giannis. Brook too is like Brook can hold him, but only for so long.
Yeah.
So I would go Brook or Giannis, in my opinion.
I would have agreed with you. I would have agreed with you about that like 2 or 3 years ago. I think Joel Embiid, for his first few years in the league, didn't know that like he was a dominant low post scorer.
Correct.
I think there was a lot of times where he bailed the other team out, but now I think he's starting to realize, like, goodness, I could take a game over by just dominating in the low post.
Correct.
And it's over once he has 2 feet in the paint. And I don't know about Giannis because, you're worried about, like, well, how tired is he going to be on the offensive end?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just one of those things with Bucks that might have to deal with where it's like, we're not going to be able to stop Joel Embiid, contain him just a little bit, because I think now he's realizing how dominant he is. And I mean, like, he's going to be a proverbial MVP candidate every single year. Every year. And look, it's going to suck if James Harden and Joel Embiid both have good games, because people are going to start the whole, oh my God, Shaq and Kobe again.
Yep.
It was like 5 games in when they traded for James Harden, and all of a sudden it was just, oh my God, these guys are Shaq and Kobe. That's a little.
That's a little, yeah.
Let's pump the brakes a little. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. But look, I think there's a lot of arguments here that Daryl Morey is trying to start the Rockets 2.0. They got PJ Tucker on here. They got James Harden. They got Daniel House. They got So I mean, look, I think the 76ers have a solid regular season roster. I'm not sure if they have a solid playoff roster.
Yeah, it's like they're kind of like the Bulls, if you could say, in a way, a good regular season team, but playoffs like but I would say, for like what you were saying with Embiid getting to the post, I think what's going to be key is trying to get him to take close range shots, not dunks and layups. I think if they can hold him to, like, I don't know measurement wise, but like 6 or 7 feet out, maybe there's a better chance, because you got like a shot of him missing it. But yeah, agreed that if he gets right under the paint or right under the hoop, he's going to score 40.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Budenholzer never employs double teams.
Nope.
If you have a star player, like, it doesn't matter. He's going to do single coverage all game long. And I think that's the most frustrating part, because I think at some moments, I think you saw the game, like, he has, like, employed the strategy of, like, we're not letting the star players shoot, or also not going to double team, like, the whole game. And I think that's just part of his defensive philosophy. And I don't see that changing, so that's why I'm, like, a little leery of Joel Embiid against the Bucks, because I think he can be a matchup nightmare. And while I like Brook Lopez, he can't can't play 35 minutes a night.
Yeah.
So,
and even if you put like more of a pass player on him, like if you think of Javon Carter, now Javon Carter is not going to take him in the post because that's
silly.
But if you can get him like up top and like kind of like Javon Carter's like a pushback kind of guy, like he's quick and he can cut you off. I think if they can get some of those guys to then lead to Giannis or Brook or maybe even Bobby to get him to the post, I think there's a better chance. But again, you got to hope it works or you got to hope he has an off day.
And this is where the loss of Chris Middleton really hurts.
Exactly.
And now Connaughton.
Yeah.
Because our wings are still relatively small. And, I know I mentioned Tobias Harris, but Tobias Harris is like a lot longer than like some of our shooting guards.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Middleton, I think, is what, 6'6", 6'7"?
Yep.
And Grayson Allen's like about 6'2", 6'3". So it's easy for those wings to just like shoot over the top of them. So I think from that standpoint, like Brooklyn has like a longer team than Milwaukee does. And I don't even know where they're going to play James Harden. I don't know if they're going to play him at point and they're going to have Tyrese Maxey at point, or they're going to play him at shooting guard.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Harden at point guard.
Okay.
So I wonder if he's going to bring the ball up and Tyrese Maxey's going to play, or maybe he does play point guard, but Harden brings the ball up. One of those, but I think those are their 1 and 2s.
Yeah, because I remember the game from February last year, especially with Embiid, went off against us.
Mm-hmm.
Could not stop Joel Embiid, and that was even after. Now, granted, that game we didn't have Brook Lopez, but that was even after we acquired Ibaka. Like Ibaka couldn't stop him.
No,
like there was
he's
nobody
not going to again.
No, and he right now is listed as our third center. So, I don't know how big of an impact Ibaka would make on this game.
I don't think he's going to have any impact, in my opinion. I think for the Bucks, that if they are seeing themselves getting bullied in the paint with their centers, I think there's going to be a center change, whether that's a trade or a random signing. But I think is Brook, and if you put Bobby as their backup center and then Serge Ibaka, that's not a solid Bucks center position, I think.
Yeah. So handicap it. How do you think the Bucks will do on Thursday night?
I say there's still a shot to win. I think they need to hit open shots. So I will give them the 1-up on winning. Again, bias. But I think they could win if they hit their threes. If Wesley Matthews can come in, if Grayson Allen can come in, and even Drew Holiday, if he can come in and hit some open shots, I think there's a chance. But they got to do it early. They can't do their go down 14 at the half and then bring it back up and then hope that there's chance at the end. They have to do it quick.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's tough because it's a hostile environment. It's in Philly. It's on national television, on TNT. God knows that seems like that could be a number 1 broadcast team game with Harlan, Reggie Miller, all those guys. Boy, I'll give them the edge on winning as well. I think it'll be close throughout.
Yep.
Give me 108, 105. I know. Yeah, it's close. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Two relatively prolific offenses. Great players. So give me the Bucks by 3.
Okay, we'll go 101-97 Bucks. I think either of them could be flipped. You could say Bucks or Sixers with that score. 101-96, I think. I think that 5 point is big. I think it's going to be a possession by possession game for a while, unless one team just has that guy who's just going off. So I think it'll be a close game the whole time, which I'm all there for.
Yep. All right. Last topic. Yeah, it's good. Yes, it's gonna be a shorter podcast because nothing started yet. So you can only preview these teams for so long.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Evan, you just sent me this. Pat Connaughton is gonna be out 3 weeks with a right calf strain. How does that hurt the Bucks? I guess long term and their rotations.
I think Bucks overall, I think it's really going to hurt because 3 weeks is a long time when you really put it into perspective. So if you're looking at the schedule, so let's say 3 weeks starting today. So that is, if I pull up my calendar, we're looking at next week is what, the 24th, the 23rd next Sunday.
Yep.
And then the following is the 30th. So 1, 2, are we doing 3 full weeks like into the November 6th? If we're looking at 3 full weeks?
Yeah, we could do that. 3 or 4 weeks. Because calf strains are tricky.
Yes, it's either they're putting the 3 weeks as a just in case he could be out for 3 weeks and then he's back next week, or he's gonna be out for 3 weeks.
Because I'm not like a doctor or anything, but I don't know if it's one of those things where like calves can turn into like an Achilles injury, which I think it could because it kind of runs down your leg a little bit. So I think from that standpoint, you have to be really, really careful with that injury because if you rush him back too quick, it could really turn to something serious.
Correct. And that's if we say November 6th, that's 9 games. One of them being the Sixers, the Nets, now the Hawks. I guess you could kind of put them back into perspective. The Timberwolves. So you got 3 or 4 games that are a bigger name team, I guess. Bucks are home for the Nets and the Hawks. Timberwolves, they're away. But again, he's a key guy. I think he's one of their first guys off the bench, so I think it'll be a bigger hit. I think overall than a lot of people kind of think of it as like 3 weeks, like, oh, 3 weeks is fine. But we're talking the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I think it's going to be a huge hit. It was last year when he went out against the Suns with the fractured.
Yeah, with his hand.
His hand, yeah. So I think the only bright side of this, I guess, is that we're going to see more Marjan Beauchamp minutes.
Yes, that's all I hope for. Is I hope that during that he can come out and do well, so then he could get more minutes, I guess, because that's just another guy off their bench that they could rely on. But yeah, 3 weeks is a long time. It's different being the first start than it is of 3 weeks in February, because again, putting into a different perspective, like this is like how the season's going to go. A big hit, but I'm hoping not as big as a lot of us are expecting it to be.
Yeah, and again, they're going to need Marjan Beauchamp because I'm thinking about it's like, well, who else is coming off the bench? You're gonna have Bobby. You're gonna have Grayson Allen. I think they're gonna do that. They did a weird thing last year where they kind of took Grayson out of the starting role and they put him back on the bench. So it's gonna be Bobby, Grayson. It's gonna be, let's see, Joe Ingles is out. Jordan Nora.
Yep. They have the shooters there. They just have to step up.
Yeah, and Ingles is going to be out till January, so
they can't all shoot 6 threes or 7 threes, and all of them combined make 4. Can't do that.
can't do that. And look, Pat Connaughton adds a lot to this Bucks team. He adds really solid 3-point shooting. He's a great defender. He leader of bench mob, just brings the energy off the bench. So. For that standpoint, it's going to be, for the first 3 weeks, it's going to be a tough loss for the Bucks, and hopefully he's not out longer.
I think they'll still be solid. You got the Pistons back to back. You got the Knicks. You got the Rockets. Now the Rockets could surprise us. I don't think they are, but you have Jalen Green. And then you have the Thunder November 5th. So again, it's like a half and half where you have the Nets, the Sixers, and the Hawks. Again, I still can't put the Hawks in or out. They beat us in the preseason, but
they did.
Still got to make sure. It's still the Hawks. But I would say there's still a good chunk of games that they could still win without those guys. So I'm worried, but I'm not like frantically nervous.
And again, that's how the Bucks kind of just find their way into the regular season. Like, I don't think they had a very good November last year, if I'm not
No, and
mistaken.
so let's hope that this is their off month and then push it back into high gear once Chris is back and Pat is back together.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with Chris being out. I mentioned this before. We have to deal with Wesley Matthews minutes, which again, like I said, Wesley Matthews is who he is.
Yep.
I think he's a great defender, but he's not a great 3-point shooter. Because I don't see him like do the little arrow thing. I didn't see him.
I didn't see that a lot.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that a lot toward the end of the season last year. So
it's a more of a, if he's shooting 5 threes, hit 2, hit 3. Don't shoot 9 and make 2 or 3. So I can kind of see that a both ways kind of thing. But again, it's just those guys where don't take a lot of shots, but make the ones that you are shooting.
But again, I think from that standpoint, we'll be fine as long as they don't lose Brook Lopez like they did in the first game last year, because that hurt us defensively. Because then we kind of had to mix and match. People didn't understand how important Brook Lopez was to the team defensively. But once we lost him, we weren't like a great defensive team until he came back.
Correct.
So, Evan, anything else?
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
I'm really excited. I'll get to see part of the game. I'm going to make sure I watch the whole thing. I got teacher conferences on Thursday during the game, and I'm bummed that I can't see the start, but I think it's going to be a good season. I'm excited. They're back. They're ready. Go Bucks. That's all I got to say. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. All right. We'll see you guys next week.